next guest I described earlier as a trailblazer. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka became South Africa's first female deputy president in 2005. During the apartheid years, she worked inside and outside South Africa in development. At one point, she was the youth director for the World YWCA. But when the African National Congress was unbanned in 1990, Phumzile rose through the ranks to deputy minister in 1996. She was actually the Minister for Minerals and Energy from 1999 until she became the deputy president. She resigned last September following President Thabo Mbeki's resignation, and these days she runs a forum, an education foundation, where one of the big issues is leadership, trying to get leadership in the schools to bring people forward through the ranks. She very much understands at both a personal and a policy level the challenges still facing women and the potential for politics to create change. Could you please welcome Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka?
Good afternoon. I want to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we stand. And I'm delighted to be here at Womadelaide, enjoying this wonderful, relaxed atmosphere. And of course, getting away from home because we're just about to get into an election, so it's quite hot there as we speak. I also want to thank the partner organizations of One Justice World Forum series, AusAid International Women's Development Agency, and World Vision Australia, who actually made it possible for me and my delegation to be here. We certainly are thankful for the exposure and the opportunity to see song and development working together, and it's indeed a very novel and an exciting idea. I also want to wish everybody who's here a very happy and a memorable International Women's Day. Before getting started with my speech, I also want to express my own, as well as carry the thoughts of many South Africans in solidarity with those Australians who lost life in the recent bushfires. We certainly have a problem of bushfires in South Africa, so we have a bit of understanding. But what I think is quite touching about the Australian situation, which we have never experienced in South Africa, is the extent of loss of life. And that we find very touching and very painful, and would like you to know that we are in solidarity with you. As we are here today, we are dealing with a crisis in the global economy, which has brought about challenges of unimaginable proportions. As the problems unfold, it's already clear to many of us that the poor will be hit the hardest. The bailouts that are being paid to institutions without much guarantee that the problems will eventually be fixed definitely pose a challenge for the general public and for us, the taxpayers in the different countries. What has been private profits and private consumption has now turned into a public debt, with no one taking responsibility for having caused the mess. That should concern us as citizens, and indeed it should also concern future generations, because it's quite difficult to think how these companies will ever pay back society. Even the benefiting institutions who are benefiting from these bailouts, which are so generous in some ways, even as one understands the difficulty, seem at the same time to be unable to extend the gesture to the small people in society, the homeowners, the small enterprises, those that are looking for student loans. And in fact, the public is quite helpless in the matter. And to some extent, even governments seem to be helpless too. The question for us as women activists is, what does this mean for our communities, and what can we do as women in this situation? As the rules of the game get redefined, which will definitely happen after a crisis of this magnitude, it is very important that women are part of that conversation of rethinking the world economic order. I'm sure here there are many people who over the years fought for this world economic order. Never did we think that it will fall upon us in the manner in which it has done. And the question is, how will we emerge out of it? Women across the globe have organized proactively for many other things. In this context, again, it's going to be very important that women also organize themselves to respond, and they do so proactively. Because the problem we face, while it is a market failure, in a global context, it is also a demonstration of how this networked industry, which will remain networked, can touch all of us in every corner of the world. Women, therefore, in their organizing, also need to remain networked so that we can respond in a coordinated way in every part of the world, and we must also be part of reshaping the world.